He's very upbeat and energetic tonight. Was talking to him before we started, and he has his game plan tonight. If it works, he's going to be right there. We got Life 2 and Fog 2 in the White Magic shop. Saber on the Black Magic side. No damage spells on Black Magic side to start off with.
Well, it's time to pick up swords, and of note is Life is learnable for the Red Mage and the Knight after promotion.
That's very handy. Anytime you can stick Life on a Knight, you're a little bit more durable on the whole. Missing out on Life 2 isn't always great. But you make do, and the stronger you are, the less you have to worry about life spells. It does sometimes make killing Garland a little bit rougher. We tend to take him for granted in the randomizer because most of the time you're getting something to kill him with. This time you're going to have to work for it a little more.
Yeah, and it might be a little bit more intimidating if he turns out to have an ability, so we'll see if he's going to be packing a cremate or two.
Having that cabin to save outside Temple of Fiends is really nice, though. There's a lot of security in that. Pretty good money in that first chest. That's good spell money, as I like to call it in the early game.
Yeah, if you find Provoca or Elfland, that'll get you set up with either level 2 or level 3 spells.
Crab Cakes has the fighter down, but Life 2, it's like it never happened.
Yeah, best healing spell in the game.
It always does one more health point than Cure 4 does. Our first battle with Garland. Breaking out the Saber, so it could be the Red Mage we have to rely on to do the damage here.
Yeah, and also of note, Crabcake's picking up stun as well, which is guaranteed to paralyze Garland since he rolls less than 300 health.
Smart game mechanics, using them to your advantage, and Crabcakes has Garland down, who needs damage spells.
Yeah, and the other benefit of going with stun is the damage amplification, so good stuff all around.
Well, good news, bad news. The good news is we got the Mystic Key. The bad news is that unlocks Incentive Marsh. Early Floater is great, but we don't have the ability to get to the Floater turn-in yet. So the possible scenario right now that our progression is in Marsh Cave is just a little bit scary.
Yeah, I still think the runners will take a look at what is in Vanilla Provoca, dig around in Matoya's Cave a little bit, but there is definitely a... oh dear, it looks like Crabcakes just threw the Opal Armor out.
Throwing it out is a little weird. Selling it, I could understand.
I wonder if there's a some sort of gentleman's agreement we missed out.
Yeah, if so, they didn't tell me. But even if you had a no class change thing, you'd certainly want to sell that for money.
Yeah, agreed.
So, I think that was a rare misstep by CC. But we do have really good early game money. I do like what CC is doing here, getting those early supplies while they're available to you. You know you're going to sit there and buy 90 heal potions at some point anyways. The earlier you do it, the more they can help you.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of flexibility, and also the nice thing is they are pretty cheap this round, so no reason to put them off.
So what we have access to right now, there's 3 chests at Matoya, 2 with the dwarves. There are 2 towns that we can walk to that are potentially Provoca to give us access to an item. And either one of those towns could also sell a vendor item, but that could not be either the ship or the canoe to let us get to the floater turn-in.
Yeah, and it could also be a loose item in one of the key lock chests. There's 8 in Dwarf Cave, 3 in the Northwest Castle, 4 in Elfland, and then 3 buried in Marsh.
You make a good point, and that's one of the things you have to stay aware of as a runner is when your normal routing has changed by something that important. So normally it would be just those 5 treasures that you have access to. Now you've got, like you said, Dwarf. You also add Temple of Fiends, and that's not a common check, but chance to pick up something in those 3 as well.
Yeah, we talked about risks that Shadow likes to take. He's stepping on it and going straight to Elfland.
We find Gaia is at Provoca. So the big question is, will a vendor item be here? And it is not. So veteran move, as Wokliosis likes to say for crab cakes, saved all the way back at the junction. Normally you'd go from there to either Matoya or Provoca. Being saved back there, you reset back, you skip the walks and the encounters, and you're right on your way to where you need to go. Hooray!
Hooray!
That is a development change, obviously. Hooray Dwarf is just one of the ways we have fun in the community. If you'd like to find out more about the randomizer, we invite you to visit FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. And we will have a bit to catch up on this treasure here, because we've got a loose crown, we've got a light axe, we've got a katana. Edge, what kind of stuff can we do now?
Well, with a loose crown, I hope you're going to go to the dentist. But seriously, you can head to the Astos fight. And I know the magic's not great, but you have a light axe, so you should be able to chip away at him. As long as he's not packing a speller ability.
You know, I think I'd really love to see what's at Elfland before trying that fight. Maybe do the play we saw from CC. Throw the save down outside of Northwest Castle, head down to Elfland, see what's there, and if it's not anything helpful, we can just reset back, take the Astos fight, and see what happens.
I think it's not too harmful to just take a peek at Astos and see how vicious he is this seed. If it turns out he's got some nasty abilities, you can always put that off until later.
Now here's another interesting thing. We have access to these trap tiles now, which have undead on them, and we have a light axe now, which casts Harm 2 for free. And will probably be enough to one-shot them. You could snag level 5 there really easily.
Yeah, and that would be very helpful for the Astos fight, but ShadowWalker's just going to go in right now.
It's the crystal. The fetch quest continues in not slightly out of order. Or no, actually that's vanilla. Never mind. I'll be okay. Astos stole the Matoya's crystal.
Yeah, and Astos has an absurd amount of evade, so I think ShadowWalker is going to try to get some more hits and throw that light axe out into these undead.
So we have 2 different encounters that are available on these trap tiles. ShadowWalker came to the first one here, which is the images. The other trap tile will have mummies on it, and you can check them both, see which one's the easier to deal with. The images lived through round 1 of Harm 2, or the first round. Now he's down to 2. I was talking to him before the game about what he was thinking. He said if the seed was pushing him towards 2-man, he was up for doing that. Now you only have 2 alive. How much effort do you put into bringing the Black Mage back?
Looks like not at all. And if you're going to take a shot at Astos, and this is you're dead set on this plan, I think you have to 2-man it and just get as many levels as you can.
This time he's going to check the mummies, see if they're any easier. They're not easier. They hit quite hard, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I particularly like this move, but that's a lot of experience going into the night, so maybe solo strats to get through Astos might be on the table here.
I don't think you can take this fight again if it's going to take 3 rounds of Harm 2. If you're going to solo grind, do it on the images. And Crabcakes has gotten by the Astos fight. A little bit different result there. I think Crabcakes had a sword on instead, so a little higher hit rate than ShadowWalker with the axe.
Yeah, Crabcake's also, with the Saber casts, able to get a lot of offensive power stacked onto the Red Mage. And kind of good turn order as well. The White Mage took the first initial crit, so a lot of survivability there.
There's also the fact Shadow is going to get a very durable fighter out of this. If the play ends up being Marsh, he's going to have an advantage with that. But if it's the Crystal, then advantage CC, because that's the play being made right now. ShadowWalker's going for revenge.
Yeah, now being in 2-hit territory, this is a lot more doable of a fight. And Astos is not hitting very hard through the iron armor, so this should turn out pretty well for Shadow, just might take a little while.
One of the things I like to say about playing Final Fantasy Randomizer, levels don't fix every problem, but they fix a lot of them.
They sure do, and Astos is going to give the fighter even more in the level department. Meanwhile, Crabcakes picks up a ribbon.
That is the best bad news you're ever going to get. So ribbon is not any sort of progression, but it's a very necessary item for the magic defense, and that is going to be a very welcome addition to Crabcake's party, especially once you put it on. Let's take a moment and talk about why we're seeing the low party strats. We've got Crabcakes running around with a 3-person party. Never mind. And ShadowWalker running with just the solo, but I talked earlier about the possibility that Shadow was just going to bring 2. The goal of that is get higher levels. There's more experience than the vanilla game offers, but not necessarily enough to get you to the end game comfortably.
And Shadow getting stun-locked by an asp, but finally gets out of it. Shadow is definitely gonna, not feel great about that, because he was relying very heavily on that town having a clinic, and now has to go all the way back.
Well, I don't think this works out terribly, because he's going to want to go to Matoya's turn in the crystal anyways. He'll get the ribbon, and then it's on to Marsh Cave. So I don't think there's a ton of difference between his progress and CC's right now. Good time to talk about some of the things we're seeing. Obviously, we've seen some different towns here. Town shuffle is a thing. All the dungeons are going to be the same, but the towns are all shuffled between themselves, except for Corneria, that is fixed in its position.
So Leifin and Gaia showing up early makes the start of the game significantly more difficult. The issue with that is you just only have access to level 1 magic, and when there is no AoE in the level 1 magic slot, you have to rely a lot on spellcasting items and, well, just the general durability of your party and its ability to run away. So if there are any particularly nasty unrunnables in Marsh Cave, we might see a 20-30 minute marsh here.
Now, ShadowWalker is going to be in great position for that marsh with the high level knight. It's sitting out there in front. Most of the melee hits are going to go there. There's some armor. There's some durability. The big threat is with script shuffle. Any of these monsters can basically roll any spell or skill. There's limits, but for simplicity's sake, I'll leave it at that. So if you run down there and something's firing off Cremate, that can really wreck your party. Advantage of that ribbon is it'll reduce the damage of that considerably. You know, come to think of it, I don't think Shadow checked these treasures in Elfland.
He just power cycled immediately upon seeing Leifin, but doesn't look like there's a whole lot to talk about.
No, there really wasn't. And also Crab Cakes, this is another veteran move, checking out who was hanging out with the Elf Prince, because we have this flag called Objective NPC Shuffle. So Dr. Un from Melmond, the Elf Nurse, and the Dragon King Bahamut can all switch positions. So just knowing the location is not necessarily enough to know who is there. Chad asks if there's a lot of level grinding. There's really not. That's one of the reasons they do the short parties, is they want to not have to stop and get levels.
Yeah, I think Crab Cakes is taking the opportunity to see if the White Mage gets good magic before making a Dan decision, whereas ShadowWalker has just off the White Mage already. Looks like Pro Rings were for sale in Gaia, so Shadow's going to walk all the way back.
That's a great thing to have. Walking back for it feels awful. Gives Cece the chance to be the first into Marsh Cave, and at this point our progression has to be here. But there are options as to what it can be still. Not many, but there are.
At this point, we're looking at either Lucen Marsh or the key lock chest guarded by the wizards. And speaking of Lucen Marsh, there's a tail.
That is never a for sure find, because it's not something you're gonna chase down if it's not required. So it's a handy pickup. We have seen every treasure chest outside of the Marsh Cave up to now between these two runners. We have not seen anything that'll let us turn in the floater we got from the royal family at the start of the game. Will Cleosis, what do you think? Do we have a ship here? Do we have a canoe?
You didn't think I was gonna miss this, now did you, fans? Speed Gaming, we are live. It's Game 2, could be the end of the 2019 Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament. Triton GL, Edgeworth, progressions in Marsh Cave. I've gotta think it's some sort of water vessel. I've gotta think it's the canoe locked behind the Mystic Key.
We're about to find out. Now, this was a change in our flags from the brackets, from the Swiss flags. It used to be the wizard chest where you'd normally get the crown in the vanilla game, as we get the canoe out of the incentive chest, which is instead one of the key-locked ones. So it changed up the routing a little bit when we made that adjustment.
Question from chat from Z-Man. Who won game 1? You can see it on the right side of your screen. It is Crab Cakes. That young lady has a little chaos on her tracker. Down there at the bottom, a little yellow chaos bad guy lit up. And this is the best 2 out of 3, of course, and Crab Cakes does lead 1-0. She could potentially end this tonight and become the champion and take the reins and take the crown from our great commentator tonight, Edgeworth, potentially.
Now, either one of these would be a first-time champion. Neither one of them had won one of these before.
Yeah, and either one would be a well-deserving champion. I've seen the amount of work that they've put into this tournament, and it has paid off immensely. And if you didn't know their names before, you know them now, and they're just going to keep up this this rate of play for a long time.
So, finding the canoe, now we have access to the airship. Gotta figure that's going to be a quick turn-in for Cece.
ShadowWalker gets bat blocked right there. If that bat comes into that other side of that door, Edgeworth, that's actually a veteran move by ShadowWalker on the left side of your screen. You actually have to leave, because once you enter a door into a chamber, the bats don't move. And if they're standing in there in front of the door, you have to actually leave so they come back.
Yeah, that was a point that was brought up, kind of the origin of the randomizer or at least a revitalization in the community of Final Fantasy I, was the Fiesel Gaia run at GDQ. Of course, we have GDQ coming up in weeks as we're broadcasting tonight. But that run, they made that point very clearly because they were worried that when they got to Marsh Cave about that bat jumping over in front of the door. In other words, the bats can be jerks.
Just past the 20-minute mark, Crabcakes assumes a little bit of an advantage. She's got the water vessel and the floater. She's going to head towards the Ryukon Desert right now, as she heads towards the original Elfland area as ShadowWalker picks up his tail. That's a loose item. That's the second loose item that we found. Also found was the crown over in the locked dwarf cave. That, of course, turned into the crystal, which turned into an incentivized ribbon that both players have. And Crabcakes just bypassing the original Elfland town, headed straight towards the Ryukon Desert.
They already saw that to be Lefane, so that is not going to be anything we have any need for until after the slab is translated. Then it will contain an item for us. We've already seen the ribbon from our incentive location. That was the crystal turn-in from Matoya. ShadowWalker now picking up his canoe.
That's a convenient place for Dr. Un to end up, right next to Lefane. So all he needs is the slab, and he can finish his summer vacation.
With the airship, there's gonna be a lot of destinations open up. So I guess then the question is, do you prioritize towns, see what you can find, because Provoca's out there somewhere, get Crescent Lake Vanilla? Do you head towards some sort of progression, like Castle Ordeals, like Ice Cave? What are you prioritizing, Edge?
So I think I'm going to pick up a lot of money, do the promotion, and then see where I go from there. I would like to visit all of the towns in pretty short order, just because exit and warp and some good AoE magic is going to make going anywhere else in the world that much easier. But at the same time, I would also like to have a lot of money on hand for a progression item, if it's the vendor item.
We are
Speaking
still
of
missing
money,
the vendor item. Also, real quick, we have access to Sarda, but the Circle of Sages will not yet yield their item. We do have to defeat Lich first for that. Go ahead, Will.
I've got to think that Crabcakes is going to head directly towards Sarda. She's a little bit south, though. She is not going to... Okay, she doubles back and heads towards Sarda. This is going to be a free item. She will get this item from Sarda in his lakefront property. The Sages we can't quite get, though. There were max price gold bracelets available in Crescent Lake. It was 65,000 gold. That's the adamant picked up from Sarda. So, Crabcakes with the option of headed back to the Dwarf Cave yet again, potentially turn that in, as ShadowWalker is out of the Marsh Cave, and he's got his canoe he's able to save.
There's Provoca turns up at Melmond, so chance to find out what level 2 magic is, and chance to take down the pirates. Harp 4. And Invis will single target raise your evasion. Lit 3 at level 2. We don't have a lot of black magic in this seed.
No, we don't.
What's your reaction to that, Edge?
Well, Lit 3, pretty solid so far, and you really can't make a judgment call until you've seen what's in Elfland. But the first 2 levels, mostly utility, and the next 2 levels are really going to be the most important. But you could do a lot worse than Lit 3, one of the best elemental spells to pick up.
Crabcakes taking on the pirates. Zoe is petrified at this point. I think that might last for a little bit longer into this game, as well as ShadowWalker's White Mage is also down as well. Crabcakes takes out the pirates as a chit-chat with Bicky. Bicky hands over the Oxyale. It's required. It's progression. It's required to get into the Sea Shrine, past the Oxyale block in the new Onrak town, and we have not seen that yet.
We have not. The Oxyale tells us we can get into that dungeon. That's kind of a scary proposition. Will, you know me, I've been very much an advocate of listen to what the seed is telling you. Well, which dungeon is the seed telling us progress is in right now? As we get the opal bracelet from Smithy McBeard's sword, we have gotten the ribbon and the opal from 2 of our incentive locations.
is the Hooray Dwarf. The Hooray Dwarf's been so much fun. Yeah, do what the seed tells you. I think it's what you said just a few minutes ago, Trenton. I think it's Castle of Ordeal is the right play here. Certainly you can go up and look for some weapons or something like that, a Vorpal Blade, something along those lines. You want to find Bahamut, obviously. We know that Dr. Oon is in Elfland Castle. Crabcakes has to reset, actually, at this point, and go back. What got her? Edge?
It was two Arankleos that they're very punchy, even at low levels.
Crabcakes gives us the Hooray Dwarf. Doesn't always go for the memes, but did one just for the fans.
ShadowWalker is in the air, just past the 25-minute mark. For reference sake, Crabcakes was in the air at about 21 minutes and 30 seconds. ShadowWalker has not obviously gone to Sarda and such so far, but both are in the Cardia Islands area. ShadowWalker's going to check out that NPC at Bahamut's area.
Got Vorpal picked up for Crabcakes. It won't help you until class change, but it is a good sword to have for the end game. The black shirt is also nice. Has its benefits, including free Ice 2 casts. And in a scene where we don't have much AoE magic yet, that's a good find.
And Shadow making the call to dive Bahamut, even though he didn't know if this was going to be the Elf Doctor or Dr. Oon, but it pays off.
With no black belt, you're happy to have the early class change, and when ShadowWalker picks up that Vorpal, it's going to be able to instantly equip it, or, could choose the Excalibur instead, because that's apparently also available here as CC just found it.
Yeah, it is. The legendary Excalibur and the crit machine, the maligned Vorpal Blade, the often argued about, love it, hate it, don't like it, use it, maybe. It's a viable endgame weapon, but with the Excalibur as well, it's a good option. Both are really good to have, but I've got to think, and I do know that both players, they prefer the Mazmoon weapon. It's the highest damage dealing weapon in the game, and it's really the go-to in Final Fantasy.
Question in chat if the forced and banned changed from the first race. That did. That was a decision across the board between the tournament administration and the runners that the best way to approach it was to roll different for all three matches. So we have the forced black belt, this seed, and I think the final games, forced and banned, will be the most interesting if we get there.
So very nice assortment of equipment, extra defense for the Black Mage, who definitely needs it. The Excal for the Knight and the Vorpal for the Red Wizard. Everyone is pretty well armed for the next few dungeons.
This is Game 2. This could potentially end our entire tournament tonight. Crabcakes is up 1-0 over the Panther. ShadowWalker, we call Crabcakes the Mastermind. My name is Wickliosis. Thank you for joining us here live on Speed Gaming. I am joined by the champion. He will always be the champion. To my right, his name is Edgeworth. To my left, he is the storyteller. His name is Trenton. And thank you for joining us tonight right here live. Twitch.tv/speedgaming, whether you're here right now live or whether it's later on YouTube, as ShadowWalker has found Elfland with Exit, Locked Out, and White Mage, and White Wizard only.
Oh, and this might be where there's a big payoff for Crab keeping the White Mage alive for a little while. That level 3 Exit, the White Mage can cast it right now.
Warp and Zap on the black magic side. I am officially calling this a garbage black magic seed, as in the first 4 levels, all we've got for damage is Lit 3.
This is really weak. We're about to see level 4 black magic, as both players are really holding hands through the town of Elfland. Here's level 4, and it's Time Elemental, Zap, and Warp, but Light 3 is the only one edge to really sweep out and take out some of those enemies.
Lit 3 will get you through a lot of dungeons, and Zap will take out a lot of enemies that you might not consider. For example, Mudgulls, Mancats.
Ugh.
I think that makes our MVP spell at this point Saber, because it's good to know with out-fast temper that the red mage at least has that.
Is that Death Touch?
There's a lot of hard-hitting
No.
enemies in this area, and not high levels, so...
You notice 2 characters on the left side of your screen for ShadowWalker, Bill and Ted. That is what you think it is. Bill and Ted are going out to try and have an excellent adventure for ShadowWalker. He's down 0-2 to Crabcakes. Crabcakes was able to take out ShadowWalker during the Swiss rounds and won one heck of a match where ShadowWalker actually beat Crabcakes to the final boss. But Crabcakes was being Crabcakes and took out ShadowWalker in that match. Obviously, CC won the first match here as well. As both players head towards the waterfall, and Crabcakes is the first to enter. We're just past the 30-minute mark right here.
So this is a pretty big advantage for Crabcakes from how the routing has worked out, because ShadowWalker has not hit up Provoca yet to get that lit 3. That's pretty big to have at level 2 going into the waterfall for Crabcakes. The black shirt will make up a lot of ground, though.
That's great use of the light axe from Crabcakes. It's a decent weapon, really, to equip. Certainly early and really into the mid-game, but at this point its utility is a free cast of Harm 2. Anytime when it's used in battle, CC uses that and moves forward, runs into a couple more nightmares, and ShadowWalker starts to take on some Mudgalls. As long as they keep attacking that knight, ShadowWalker will be in good shape to get through. There's a Vorpal swing for 78 damage, takes out the Mudgall, and ShadowWalker moves forward in the waterfall.
Speaking of swinging at the knight, Edge, why don't you elaborate a little bit on why ShadowWalker is keeping the down party member in the second spot?
So the targeting for enemies in their attacks is entirely dependent on where they are in the party order. So the person in the first slot gets hit about 50% of the time. Slot 2 gets hit about 25% of the time. And then the other 2 slots are basically equal, split down the middle at 12.5. The benefit of keeping the dead person in the 25% slot is that if anyone gets targeted in that slot, since they're dead, they get re-rolled, and it is more likely to hit the heavily armored knight in the front slot.
Those Paralisks are extremely unpleasant. They fire off slow, they fire off glance, they fire off ice too. If they turn order you, there are going to be trouble. But Crabcakes uses Lit 3 to get through them on the trap tile, and soon finds out what the waterfall has.
It's the rod. It's a required trip. Not quite what CC probably wanted to find out. ShadowWalker's right behind. She does, however, pick up an Aegis shield. It's the best shield in the game. As far as numbers go, it's actually tied for the best, but it also provides protection from the stone poison element when equipped on a knight. As ShadowWalker, he hits the trap tile, and he's closing in to pick up his Aegis shield and his rod right here in the waterfall. We are dead even, just past the 33-minute mark.
For Whizmummies, this is a fantastic experience fight, but the concern is if those Paralisks live through this Ice 2 cast, they could fire off their own Ice 2. He's through that, and this is going to be a great experience reward. Looks like Crabcakes did not get either Warp or Exit yet, or just didn't have the levels for a charge.
Yeah, Warp was at level 4.
Warp was at 4, I think Exit was at 3. Oh, apparently Zoe has it, but Zoe is currently napping on the job.
She sleeps on her back, it looks like, Edge. You, as the current, still reigning champion, how do you feel about a white mage sleeping on their back?
Well, it all depends. If, sometimes you have a bad back from carrying the party, it might have been all those deeds with Fate.
Very well could be. ShadowWalker is the first to get out of the waterfall. He's past Crabcakes now. CC has done a few odds and ends with the airship because she had it first. ShadowWalker's going to make up that time. We are dead even, fans. Welcome to Final Fantasy Randomizer. This is what we do, and this is how we do it. Trenton, where can anyone go if they are interested in playing this game, taking a look at it, or reading about it, or learning more about it?
The best place to start is always with the actual randomizer website, which is FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. You've got the actual randomizer there. You can see the flags. You can see descriptions of them. You can also get links to Discord, where we will be happy to provide you with all the information you can ask for and more. We have great tools in place for new players. And we have ShadowWalker, Finding the Herb, and Finding Onrak. So Sea Shrine is an option, and you really don't want to have to walk all the way back here, but ShadowWalker would rather see what the herb has. Edge, how do you feel about that coin flip decision? Do you try for Sea Shrine rather than walk all the way back here? Do you go for the key items first?
So I think at this point I would go for the key items first, especially because you haven't found the ruby and you haven't found the ship. And if one of those are loose, then that's all your key items right there. You just need to go for the incentive locations and you're good to go.
Objective NPCs are shuffled. That includes Bahamut, who actually ended up being shuffled into his original lair, so he wasn't moved at all. However, Dr. Un and the elf doctor who can wake the prince are shuffled. ShadowWalker just showed you that. Over in Melmond is the elf nurse or elf doctor. Now the elf prince is awake. ShadowWalker has woken him up. Crabcakes will do that momentarily, yes. And both players can go up there and check out that item. Is it some sort of a slab situation, which would work out quite well with Dr. Un potentially right there? Is it a TNT and a fetch quest situation? Is it a straight-out loot and required situation? We're going to find out fairly quickly.
Ice 3 and Bracker at level 5 are very good magic spells to have. That's not a bad level to have them at. You'll get enough charges by the end game for it to have utility. I do have to correct myself on one point. The Pirate Vicky has the Oxy Ale, so ShadowWalker has not seen it yet.
ShadowWalker picks up that adamant. He's going to head towards the original Melmond, and he's going to find exactly what Trenton just said. He's going to find Provoca. Crabcakes does not check the elf.
Going for the class change magic.
Class change. Ah.
Yes. So there is your life on the knight and on the red mage.
The knight has a habit of being very durable, especially if you're able to put a ribbon and get any kind of levels on them. So having a life spell, even if it's life 1, can really help in bringing back a party.
And ShadowWalker had picked up that herb. Of course, that herb was the vendor item for 15k. Crabcakes has not done that yet. What Crabcakes has done is at the 38-minute mark, she's entered the ice cave. Spells are a little bit suspect at this point. There's the Cure 4 birds. We've got Lightning 3. And we've got not too much else. I wasn't sure if she even has a hit of warp quite yet. We're going to find out very quick because there's a warp trick you can do in here, Edge, and it's very, very helpful as ShadowWalker picks up his Oxio.
Yeah, I learned the warp trick from Jay Coper, one of the original members of the FFR community, and it saves you a lot of time, so much so that you might actually consider routing around Ice Cave if it shows up early just to save time with warp.
ShadowWalker has made that trip. Now he's going to turn in his adamant. He's going to pick up his opal bracelet at this point. And he does. He's going to equip that, I believe it's on his Ted. Yeah, he's going to put it on Ted, his red wizard. As Crabcakes has ran into some eye mages, she runs away. And she's closing in on this potential warp trick, but I don't think she's got any charges. Let's see if she does. Maybe one. She drops down the hole, goes back, and she's got 3 hits of warp. And she gets the incentivized chest. It's the slab inside the ice cave. Now, does she continue on in here? It looks like she's going to. We have 2 loose items that have already been found. We know there's a 3rd one out there.
Oh gosh, and Shadow finds the ruby, so Crabcake's putting off the run to Onrak is going to save her a lot of time if she sticks to this.
This also sets up that we're very likely to need the missing incentive item, whatever it is, that's out there in the world, because now we've seen Ruby, we've seen Tail, we've seen these things, the Opal Bracelet, that are not required to complete the game. Well, the chances of needing what's out there have gone up exponentially, and it's almost certainly going to be required at this point.
I had a chat with ShadowWalker last night. He actually came to me and wanted my thoughts on a few things. And I said, okay, well, here's the deal. You tell me what it is that you're going to plan to do tomorrow, which is, of course, right now, in exchange for everything else, and we kind of made a little bit of a deal. I wouldn't be surprised if we see ShadowWalker go in here, grab the slab, and potentially try to get out of here. There's thunder! That's thunder from the Spectres. That's a lightning elemental. ShadowWalker survives, but he's running as fast as he can. He didn't quite heal up. I think ShadowWalker might go in here, get the slab, and get out of here, whereas Crabcakes is clearing it. Let's keep an eye on what it is that he does to try to gain some time, potentially on the Mastermind.
So of note, Crabcakes has not seen that, and that might make a difference when you run into those large Spectre packs down in Earth.
Crabcakes also found the ice armor as she continues to explore this ice cave, and the sooner one of these runners find that other loose item, that could potentially be a big benefit.
ShadowWalker gets a harm 4 off this time. That's going to wipe out this undead pack, which of course Crabcakes has not seen yet. She takes out a pack of sorcerers. We'll see if ShadowWalker skips the top 2 left chests. He does not. He's going to get his silver gauntlet as Crabcake starts to pull ahead a little bit. She's back on the last floor at this point. There's 5 chests here. Still a 3rd loose item. Odds are it's probably not here, but there could be something good.
That warp trick ends up cutting off, I haven't counted this, but something like 1/3 of the dungeon, because you don't have to retrace your steps like you would in the normal game.
Anything that you can do to reduce the amount of encounters, you are very, very strongly encouraged to take that.
Yeah, it's just pure time save because you're not opening the same treasure chests twice. So it's just steps, it's just encounters that you really don't need.
Cece gets ambushed by wizards. Their accuracy isn't very good, and they definitely don't hit hard. They've only got a poison touch. So after they all get to attack, Cece's going to try to get out of here. ShadowWalker trying to get through the Frostwolf encounter. He is down to Dave and Ted. It is 2 light warriors. We'll see once he gets out of here. There's a big swing from the Vorpal that takes out the last Frostwolf. Don't know if he's going to revive any warriors anytime soon based upon that black magic. I think he might 2 light warrior it for a while, Edge, based upon that black magic. What do you think?
I think it's a smart move, especially because I don't believe we've seen Temper yet, correct?
Not that I've seen, Trenton.
Now, the best we've seen is Saber, and so the Red Mage, getting those levels could be really important, because, I mean, a Red Mage with Vorpal and Saber, that is really, really strong for the end game.
Yeah, if we come across a very, very high absorbed chaos, that the Red Mage may save the day.
Crabcakes translates her slab with the objective NPC shuffle. Then she goes right next door to the new Lefane. Has a chit-chat with Lefanians. They hand over the dynamite. They had all these explosives. They didn't want it. They handed it over to Cece. Cece gladly take it, and she's bringing it over to Narek, back in the Dwarf Cave again.
Gets the bottle, so the option to continue the fetch quest is still there. You're also right in the neighborhood of that Earth Cave, and you have the rod. It's an option, is all I'm saying.
CC immediately with that bottle in hand heads over to the old Provocaton. Of course, it is the new Gaia. Sees that level 7 nuke. Ooh. She's going to turn in that bottle as she checks out the armor shop. Finds the Pro Rings for 25,000 gold. She can afford 2 of them. Takes a look at her menu. Does she want to sell a steel armor? Opal shield she sells. And the steel armor as well. So she's going to be able to pick up a couple of Pro Rings. A ShadowWalker on the same encounter table that Crabcakes was. He runs in and he gets ambushed by wizards.
When it comes to the pro rings, there's 3 of them that are available in the normal game in treasure chests. So I generally figure I'm going to find 2 if I'm opening as many treasure chests as I do in a typical game. Buying another 2 is a really strong play. And we get the chime, opening up the Mirage Tower, but not yet the Sky Castle, because we still need the cube.
Crabcakes has not purchased that herb quite yet. We know that herb will lead to the ruby. The longer she puts that off, more than likely the better. But she's going towards the Earth Cave? Yes, she is! With the 3rd loose item out there, what does the Mastermind do? She's running.
I think she's just going to go mode this dungeon.
It's not a play I argue with. It's a bit of a gamble, but so is taking the time to explore one of the slowest dungeons that the game has to offer. You do this, and you've unlocked the Crescent Lake item, and if you find your progress there, then that's one less thing you have to worry about. But right now, we still need cube, we still need loot for the go mode.
ShadowWalker translates his slab out of the ice cave. He turns into the Lefanians, picks up his dynamite. He's headed back towards the Dwarf Cave, where he will pick up his bottle, which will lead to the required chime. Both players now at the 15 key item mark. It's a benchmark of an experience bonus, Trenton. 150%. That's really good at the 45-minute mark.
They've made steady progress in this seed. That's what you really want to feel good about the run you're having. You don't want to be taking a lot of wipes. You don't want to be seeing roadblocks. You want to be constantly going somewhere and doing something. That's when you're feeling good about the run. And both of our players are kind of in that sweet spot right now. They're not going to feel great about Nuke at level 7, though, because that's just not going to offer a lot of support.
Oh, and that is a big pickup for Crabcakes, the Dragon Armor.
Dragon Armor. Those are 3 greed chests. CC checks them. It was a Dragon Armor. Does she skip the rest? She does. That's a play I like to make, Edge, and that's huge at this point to have that right in her path.
It's a convenient amount of chests or convenient location for chests to check.
And for whatever reason, CC dropped that opal armor early in the game. So the lack of that, as CC picks up another ribbon, which is extremely noteworthy, the lack of that opal really raises the benefit of finding that dragon armor.
ShadowWalker feeds the Titan. There's 4 chests here. We've had it happen twice during the tournament. Believe me, I was in one of the matches where this was required, where there was a loose required item. There's the thunder from the specters into Crabcakes. Crabcakes is on the ropes. She gets a light axe off, and it's going to take out most of them. It looks like the ruby is not required. ShadowWalker resets. The light axe gets it done. So Crabcakes now knows about the thunder from the specters.
Now that's something you won't need reminded of. You will remember it every time you see him the rest of this seed.
Yeah, and it's a huge pickup for the Dragon Armor and a huge pickup for that second ribbon. Without those, that might have been a wipe.
ShadowWalker is checking the first floor. Crabcakes skip this. This is not what ShadowWalker told me his plan was. I'm quite surprised. Not only is he 3-manning it at this point, but he's not go-moding this. I didn't expect it, but he gets a ribbon. That's the third one.
That is the third one. 2 of them were hanging out here in the Earth Cave. That's one CC might very well get after finishing the Earth Cave. I think the reaction we're seeing on ShadowWalker's side is to the information of, hey, there's got to be a third item loose, and it pretty much has to be either the cube or loot. So exploring these treasure chests has gone up a lot in value. I mean, both could be loose if it happens to be the ship that's at the incentive location.
ShadowWalker picks up a Thor's hammer that CC might never see.
The Crabcake's picking up a pro ring, so finishing off the 5-element knight armor set.
What did Crabcakes just do? What was that? Anyone see what just happened on the right side of the screen? I don't know.
Just had to get past the speed bump, that's all.
Oh, Okay. What we have not seen, Edge, is something that I'm a little bit surprised of. We're nearing the 50-minute mark. Castle of Ordeal. Now, I know magic isn't the greatest, Edge, but Castle of Ordeal houses an incentivized item, about a dozen chests or so, and that will more than likely be and or lead to that cube or that loot. Are you surprised we haven't seen that yet?
I am surprised. It would be one of the locations that I would prioritize personally, but there may be some metagaming involved where Crabcakes is wanting to check some of the locations she thinks ShadowWalker would check.
ShadowWalker, meanwhile, has picked up the dragon armor, so now that is neutral between these two runners. The best armor that a knight is going to be able to equip. You add resistances to the big three normal element spells, the fire, the ice, the lightning. And that's ribbon number 3 for ShadowWalker, which is also going to be a very welcome sight.
So yeah, this is an interesting move from Crabcakes, and I don't mind it. If you're confident in your level of execution and you feel like you have done pretty well up to this point, there's no reason why you shouldn't just hedge your bets, check some of the easier to get to chests in Earth, and then head on out.
If you dare take the gamble that between Castle Ordeals and the Circle of Sages we're going to get our 2 missing incentive items, you're playing with fire because of that ship still being out there. Now in Cece's case, there's another missing item because Cece's not seen the ruby yet. So on Cece's side, that should even tell you all the more that you're looking for loose items right now. Take a moment and send a big thank you to our crew behind the scenes, Danny, Lyra, Tyrannex, keeping an eye on everything, keeping us up on information.
Crabcakes looking to light the first orb of this match. Firing Zap into Lich, the Fiend of the Earth. That's not going to work. But a Vorpal with 2 hits starts to attack into the Fiend of the Earth. Another Zap from Cece is ineffective. Big strike for 123 from the Knight. Lightning 3 for Bucko 3 is good. Lich is terminated, and at we'll call it the 53-minute mark, we've got our first orb lit. It's Crabcakes. Not only does she light that required orb, she also can go now to Crescent Lake and get the item from the Circle of Sages, along with, of course, the Castle Ordeal incentivized main item, and then the third loose item as well, looking at our kind of our trifecta of items that we still have left in this match.
So as they start covering this ground, let's look through what we've seen so far. After rescuing the princess, we were rewarded with the key from the king. The princess gave us the floater. Dwarfs had the crown locked away in their treasury. Astos gave us the crystal. Matoya handed over a ribbon. Then Marshlocked gave us the canoe. Sarda handed over the adamant. Vicky the pirate had the oxyale. The blacksmith had the opal bracelet once we turned in the adamant. The robot in the waterfall gave us the rod. From the vendor in Unrack, we purchased the herb. The prince of the elves had the ruby. Ice Cave incentive chest had the slab. Lefane gave us the TNT. Narek the bottle. Fairy the chime. We've not yet seen Castle Ordeals, and we have not yet seen the Sages item, but Cece's aiming to fix that very soon. Or did while I was talking?
Yeah, there was a loot. So one of the 2 required items, and now it's just where is the cube hiding?
Do you head directly to Castle of Ordeal here once you have this type of information, Edge?
Yeah, at this point, even a 33% chance with Crabcake's current knowledge is the best. It's the best odds you can get.
And even if it's not the incentive location, of course, there are a bunch of treasure chests there that the loose item could roll into. So it could be the end of the treasure in that one dungeon. Plus, there's the risk that if ShadowWalker had already gone to Castle Ordeals, he could already be in go mode. Cat Doctor in chat raises an interesting point. ShadowWalker got both the loose ribbons in Earth Cave. CC only got one. That is a little bit of an equipment advantage on ShadowWalker's side.
It is. There's only 3 ribbons in the game. An equipped ribbon grants you what we call immunity. It's not full immunity. It makes it a 3 out of 256 chance that some sort of an instant death sort of spell will hit you like a zap, a time elemental. Anything elemental with the 8 elements in Final Fantasy Randomizer, it also reduces heavily damage from damage-dealing elemental spells. There's only 3 in the game. ShadowWalker has all 3, and he's also taking on Lich, trying to light his first orb.
Hope everyone is having a great evening as we have Game 2 of the Championship Series between ShadowWalker and Crabcakes going on here. Crabcakes with the 1-game advantage coming into the night, trying to wrap this up, win it all. ShadowWalker trying to force the Game 3. ShadowWalker's taken down a number of undefeateds in this tournament so far, and we are looking forward to seeing how these two handle the rest of it.
ShadowWalker, after taking out Lich, heads directly to the Crescent Lake. The towns are shuffled. The new Crescent Lake is the old Crescent Lake. He's headed there to pick up his required loot. As Crabcakes is closing in, trying to get through the Pillar Maze. These are shuffled. Welcome to Final Fantasy Randomizer. It's a norm that Castle of Ordeal has its pillars shuffled, and she's almost to the incentivized item. ShadowWalker picks up his loot. Is this the ship, or is it the cube? 57 minutes, and Crabcakes, the mastermind, up 1-0 in this best of 3, enters go mode.
We will see how long it takes ShadowWalker to make the same play. He's headed to the right destination. He's going to get his go mode not far behind. This is going to be a breakneck pace sprint between these two runners. Who can get to Temple of Fiends first, and who can get through it?
Edge, as of right now, you are the champion. You are the representative of Final Fantasy Randomizer. When you look at a tracker screen, they're pretty similar right now. ShadowWalker's on his way to get his cube. They're crisscrossing paths and high-fiving as they walk through a little desert by Castle Ordeal. Take a look at the weapon situation. We do not have a power gauntlet at this point. We don't have the Masmoon. Is the Vorpal good enough based upon temper, fast, and everything that we have right now for a player of your caliber, which both of these players are?
The biggest issue is you don't have temper. We have yet to see it, so I'm assuming it's at level 8, and one cast of temper is not going to make a big difference. However, a lot of casts of saber on that red mage could make a big difference. I think the equipment is fine. You have plenty of access to fast. Just a matter of getting there with the whole party intact.
He is the champion. His name is Edgeworth. My name is Wookleosis. I am the smooth talker. To my left is Triton GL. We are one of the greatest. He is the storyteller. ShadowWalker 227 on the left side of your screen. We call him the Panther. On the right side of your screen, it is Crabcakes. She is the mastermind, the challenge seed baby. This is the finals. 2019 Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament. It's the best of 3. Crabcakes wants to end this, and she wants to do it right now, tonight, live on Speed Gaming. We'll see if she can do it. She holds a little bit of an advantage and a little bit of a lead. She is in the town of the New Onrak. She has the Oxyale in hand, and she is entering the Sea Shrine as ShadowWalker picks up his required cube. He's in go mode 2 minutes after Crabcakes is.
And that's just really not a lot of time. It's significant, but it doesn't even take a mistake to make up 2 minutes, honestly. Just a little bit different pattern, little bit of things going differently. You can make up 2 minutes just by being on a different encounter cycle through Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, and I think Crabcakes is in the lead simply by ShadowWalker's trip to Onrak and can't really say that was a mistake or not. It's just how the routing worked out and how the items landed. So
Yeah, I mean, you think about how easily this could have flipped the other way. You flip Ruby and Cube's positions. ShadowWalker was in go mode how many minutes before Crab Cakes? Probably 5+. So it's not a mistake. It's just how the seed actually went, and you've got to always make the best decisions you can.
Crab Cake's digging through the Sea Shrine. She's on her way towards Kraken. She's going to try to light her second orb. ShadowWalker enters the Gurgu volcano to potentially light his second orb. A lot of route divergence here. We found all the loose items. Both players are in go mode. We are at the hour mark. The heart starts to pound just a little bit. That blood pressure starts to rise. You see your timer down there. You're over the hour mark. Where is my opponent? Did they do this? I know my opponent. Did I study up? Did I make the right plays? That clock is ticking. Potentially on this match. ShadowWalker on the left side of your screen. His back is against the wall. He must win this match to force a Game 3. It will be tomorrow if we get there. Meanwhile, Crab Cakes is just absolutely tearing through the Sea Shrine. She's already on the floor of Kraken.
Crab Cakes has Frack Spell also to support this battle against Kraken. It's a very effective weapon to have. ShadowWalker is going to be relatively stronger, but that's a big find with the Power Gauntlet. That's a pretty easy find, so I can't imagine that Cece's not getting the same. But for now, ShadowWalker has it, and Crab Cakes does not.
yeah, that is a very, very critical find. With no access to buffs, that is going to make the Excalibur leagues better. Or at least, excuse me, damage buffs.
So, in particular, we see a high absorb Fiend at Temple of Fiends Revisited, and that can make a huge difference for our runners. Defensively, they're pretty good. What we don't have is evade casts. We don't have the ruse available from the defense sword. We don't have the white shirt available.
Speaking of evasion, dual fires. A random encounter just knocked out Ted. Excuse me, that was Bill. ShadowWalker's down to the two warriors. He's got to heal up real quick as Crabcake starts to take on Kraken. She's going to try to light her second orb. She's using Invis 1 on Hans. That's her knight, as well as she gets the fast off. Kraken attacks for 5 hits, but not too hard. Crabcake fires in for 200 and another Invis off into the knight. She's moving on to round 3 as ShadowWalker closes in on Carrie, the Fiend of Fire, and Kraken is already gone. 1 hour, 3 minutes. Crabcakes is 1 fight away from lighting her second orb. ShadowWalker is fighting Carrie to try to light his second orb. First time we've seen Carrie. Carrie gets initiative, and she fires out the Ink skill. It does not hit. There's an Ice 3 for 40, and an attack from the Excalibur for 253, and 92, and Carrie is terminated. ShadowWalker lights his second orb within seconds of each other.
Very quick, the other thing that happens there is ShadowWalker got more levels to go into the more difficult dungeon of Sea Shrine than Crabcakes had. But conversely, Crabcakes also got a higher level from the more experienced fights, so should be able to breeze through Volcano.
And I think Crabcakes right now wants to Dan the White Mage again. Probably a big surprise that Kraken didn't accept the Snackerfice.
Snackerfice, I love that. So, Edge, how comfortable are you feeling without the Invis 2 spell, without the white shirt, or without the defense sword? We've got the Invis 1, but just single target.
I think that's really all that you need. It's just a matter of getting there, like I said, with the whole party intact. If something happens and you run out of life charges on that night, it might be some bad news.
Crabcakes put Zoe, that's her white wizard, in the top slot. The enemies... Oh, that's Blaze from the Wyvern. Enemies attack, knock Zoe out. I think that's what CC wanted. As our runners crisscross again. ShadowWalker's headed into... He talks to Cope. He has a little chit-chat with Cope, a la his good friend, the Enforcer of Iconic FF. ShadowWalker is in the Sea Shrine. Crabcakes has entered the Mirage Tower. She does not check floor 1. Now, she's got the cube and she's got the chime. How many chests will she check? We don't think that many, but there's a potential roadblock coming up on the Bridge of Destiny. We'll cross that path, or that bridge, when we get to it.
Chat asks, we're in go mode? Yes, we are, and we've been there since 57 minutes in. So it is a breakneck pace for these runners. Checking anything is a gamble at this point, but it could also be rewarding. We saw ShadowWalker get the payoff with the Power Gauntlet. That can only help you going in against the Fiends Revisited. It could be a difference between these two runners. We'll have to see what CC does when getting to the volcano.
The crowd continues to grow here. We are live on Speed Gaming. Crabcakes is not satisfied with her equipment at this point in time. She's headed to the less than greater than room. A good small concentration of chests. She's looking for the Power Gauntlet, which ShadowWalker has already found is in the volcano, or she's looking for potentially the Mazmoon weapon, or the Defense Sword and its weapon ability, and its spell casting ability.
ShadowWalker in the Sharknado room, as we like to call it, because of the trap tile with the sharks. So it's just an easy point of reference to call it that. He's going to take the fight. Now, he's got Warp, so he only has to take this once. Or he could take it again for the experience.
Yes, is a 1 to 2 gray shark with a... Ooh, misclick? Or on purpose? Edge. It's on purpose.
That's a misclick, but oh, hey, we got the ship.
Ship is loose item number 3. Crabcakes found it on Mirage Floor 2. ShadowWalker wants more levels. I don't fault him for this. Chap was having this discussion before he even got in here about the idea that, hey, our levels are looking a little bit low at this point of things. He does still have Sky to go after C, but picking up a couple here, I wouldn't hate it. 2 minutes can really add up. What do you think he targets, Edge?
I mean, this is a pretty good fight. You've got 2 physical attackers and a lit 3 to clear out those Wizzahags, but I would probably be just taking any fight that you can get along the way here. Like this fight.
That's a great fight. It's called the Experience Pinata on the left side of your screen. They're trying to defend against fire. Crabcakes checked the less than greater than room. Took everything she could in the left. She saved outside of the Mirage Tower and now re-entered. She's going back in to check the first floor of Mirage. So far, she has found nothing. Again, she's looking for the Power Gauntlet that she's not going to find anytime soon, at least in this area, the Mazmoon or the Defense Sword. She leaves again, saves up, and now she re-enters as well, allowing ShadowWalker to close in on Kraken. He's going to try to take the lead orb-wise and try to light his third orb. Once again, we are live on Speed Gaming here. The crowd is growing and growing and growing. Thank you for joining us here. Final Fantasy Randomizer. We've been in business for a few years now, and this is the culmination of our annual spring tournament. It's the best time of year for Final Fantasy Randomizer. We see all your names out there. We see you, Drumboardist, the Hangry Canuck Tarnin, you too, a Tiny Fairy, Z-Man, everybody. We see the Enforcer, Wandering Keeper, One Fine Day. We see you all out there and all the great fans. This is why we do this as ShadowWalker takes on Kraken. Crabcakes dispatch a Kraken very quickly. Kraken gets initiative with a Fire 2, doesn't do too much. ShadowWalker fires Brock into Kraken, but it's ineffective. Back-to-back Brocks from ShadowWalker, also ineffective. We're going on to round 2. A strike from the Knight, 161. Kraken hits for 5 hits, and that's not good. But ShadowWalker fires back with a Brack, that's ineffective. Another Brack from ShadowWalker, ineffective again. We're going on to round 3. ShadowWalker cannot get this Brack to hit. He's only got a couple left. But there's the Excalibur for a $165, and it's good. ShadowWalker lights his third orb.
Brack is not high in the single cast percentage range, but it's high enough that if you're throwing a bunch of them out there, it's actually, on average, going to be faster than doing melee damage. We already knew from Crabcake's side this was a low HP Kraken, so Excal got the job done before Brack could. Crab Cakes is still looking. Found the white shirt. It was in Sky on the right side. Is that enough? It's not. Cece still looking.
It's allowing ShadowWalker to catch back up. This is a great fight ShadowWalker's taking. I learned this from you, Edgeworth. Anything with dual Frost Gators. Very good for experience.
Yeah, it's one of the better large packs that you can get in the river. I think we'd all prefer to have some nachos instead, but sometimes you just gotta make do.
Dinner time for ShadowWalker. He runs into a Tyro. The Tyro attacks for 6 damage, but ShadowWalker fires back with an Ice 3 for a $1.15. A strike from the Excalibur, and gets finished off with a critical hit from the crit machine. We call it the game changer of the Vorpal. That Tyro is dispatched. ShadowWalker has now entered the Mirage Tower. He is closing the gap on the Mastermind as we near 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah,
This
and I
is
think
huge.
at this point... Go ahead.
Go ahead, Edge.
I think at this point, ShadowWalker has the lead with the orb advantage. Even though Volcano is a short dungeon, Crab Cakes is probably going to check some more chests. So, advantage ShadowWalker right now.
If Shadow is done chest checking, he's going to get through here so much faster than Crab Cakes, like by a magnitude of 5 minutes or so.
He is. Look at him. He's already going. Crab Cakes has made it to the 4th floor of the floating fortress. She's still checking chests. ShadowWalker with the advantage of having that power gauntlet. He's out orb ahead. He's also got the volcano done. Crabcakes has let ShadowWalker back into this. She had a short dungeon lead, but ShadowWalker, I've got a feel right now, he's got all the momentum. He's steamrolling it. It almost feels like he can't be stopped.
And I go back to what we saw from ShadowWalker. Why did he take the levels against the Sharks? And in my mind, that's because he had this plan in mind. He was go-moding Sky. He wasn't going to get as much experience from the random encounters because of that. And we know what's waiting for us ahead. Both these runners know very well what could happen, and you don't want to be caught off guard.
There's the Masmone. Crabcakes has found one of the things that she was looking for, probably the most important on her wish list. It's the highest damage dealing sword in the game, equipable by any light warrior and the winner of last year's 2018 Final Fantasy Randomizer's best sword and weapon in the game. Crabcakes has it. ShadowWalker's on the same floor now, plus he's already done the volcano and he has the power gauntlet. Crabcakes moves up a floor into the teleporter maze. ShadowWalker is in the teleporter maze. Fans, if you want to get him out, go ahead and get him out. Get out your blessed RNGs, because I would tell you this. They will be answered. Warmac will be required. Both players are going to fight the death machine, perhaps simultaneously coming up right here, live on Speed Gaming.
Now, another big difference between these two runners right now, Shadow running with just the 2, Crabcakes running with the 3. And this is maybe where it's the most critical, these fights leading up to the bridge, and even through the bridge, because that's where you're getting the most experience outside Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Warmac is in a skill and spell pool with all the Fiends Revisited, with Lich 2, Carry 2, Tiamat 2, and Kraken 2, along with Chaos. He could have Swirl, Cure 4, Slow 2. He could have a whole bunch of Lit 2s. It will give us some sort of information as ShadowWalker is on the Bridge of Destiny, runs into some nachos. 427 from the Excalibur dispatch of them. Crabcakes is now on the Bridge of Destiny. There's a Metal Slime encounter. ShadowWalker's passing on it. Crabcakes runs into some Sorcerer with Lit 2. They've also got Stop.
Edge, what kind of levels would you want here, either with the 2-man or 3-man party?
I always shoot for 24 across the board, just in case I find that that Masmune. I mean, with a 2-man, 29 is what I would like to see, but it just so rarely happens that I don't plan for it.
ShadowWalker has made it to Warmac, and here we go. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 35 seconds. The Sorcerers are digging into Crabcakes a little bit. There's Fast. He gets Fast off on his Knight. Warmac leads up with Fire 2, so that's out of the pool. And an Invis 2. And one of the few selections that Invis 2 can be used. Along with a power gauntlet from ShadowWalker, we move on to the second round as Crabcakes prepares now for the Bridge of Destiny as she starts to cross it. Another Invis 2 shot. Crabcakes runs into the Nachos. There's the... Oh, wow! Oh, wow! Oh, Warmek gets dispatched by ShadowWalker. He made it look easy.
That's a big hit, but make no mistake, Warmek gave his blows in there as well. That was a really well-armored knight. Anybody else was going down to that hit from Warmek.
ShadowWalker trying to light his fourth orb. Fires Brack into Tiamat. That's ineffective. Back-to-back Bracks again from ShadowWalker. That's ineffective as well. Tiamat fires back with slow. Crabcakes is closing in on the required Warmek. ShadowWalker goes to the Power Gauntlet, and he's going to fire more Bracks, it looks like. And a Fast into his Knight. There's the Fast. That gets off. Brack from ShadowWalker into Tiamat. Broken into pieces. Tiamat is down. ShadowWalker steps away from lighting his fourth orb, and he does at the 1 hour 16-minute mark.
This is a blazing fast time through this seed. This is a fantastic entry into Temple of Fiends Revisited. But Edge, what do you think we're looking at when we get to Temple of Fiends Revisited? Is it gonna let him run through it quickly?
Well, it all depends on, well, what you see in the encounter table, and if there's a gatekeeper boss. Always keep an eye on the last three, Kraken 2, Tiamat 2, and Chaos.
A point worthy of note is ShadowWalker casted in Viz 2, so has that, but it's a limited spell selection, so you can't get even 6 of them off, which would be max evade, in a single fight, much less spam those and get them for all 3 of those big 3 at the end of the game.
ShadowWalker says, pull me under. I'm not afraid. At the 1 hour 17-minute mark, he enters the ultimate final dungeon. He's got his Mystic Key, he's got his loot, and he's got his 4 orbs lit. He is now leading the Mastermind in Crabcakes. She's still trying to light her 4th orb. ShadowWalker's back again. It's against the wall. He must win this match to force a final and deciding Game 3. As of this point, ShadowWalker's game to win.
A big difference between these two runners, though. Crabcake's exploration did play off with the Masamune. We don't know yet about Power Gauntlet because Crabcakes still has to go to the volcano. The biggest thing, though, is ShadowWalker might even have enough time here to wipe deep in this Temple of Fiends Revisited and get back in before Crabcakes gets there because of the extra dungeon dive.
Also of note, how much HP Tiamat 1 has, that the Brax from ShadowWalker ended up saving him at least a minute and a half.
Every minute saved throughout the seed is a minute on your final time. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Anytime you can save time, it adds up in the end. That's what can make Brax so powerful.
Crabcakes, of course, still has to do her 4th orb. She's still got to do that volcano where the Power Gauntlet is awaiting her potentially. She's going to stop off and she's going to pick up some magic. That's Cure 4 for Zoe. Uses the warp and goes back in. She's going to pick up some heal pots as well as ShadowWalker has entered now the Earth floor. The encounter... Oh gosh, green Medusas on the Earth floor.
We have seen this earlier in the tournament be a particularly nasty encounter. They have so many hits that if they roll one of the status touches, like Death Touch, Stone Touch, they got so many chances to apply it. They almost always are going to get at least one of them to stick.
ShadowWalker gets through the green Medusas. Crabcakes is in the area. She's about to enter the Gurgu volcano. But right now, all the attention to the left side of your screen. To the man we call the Panther, ShadowWalker. He's already played Crabcakes twice this tournament. He played her in the Swiss rounds. He beat her to Chaos. Crabcakes caught up and passed him and took out Chaos before ShadowWalker could. Got him in the Swiss rounds. Crabcakes obviously won game 1 as well. ShadowWalker does not want to be 3-0'd. I talked with him last night. He said, Will, I'm playing to win. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it everything I have. So far, ShadowWalker has played quite well. To the Temple of Fiends, under 1 hour and 20 minutes. He's now on the fire floor after taking out Lich 2.
Steady progress so far. And I talked to Shadow shortly before we got going tonight. He was very energetic. He was very upbeat, very relaxed going into this. Now he's got full respect for his opponent. Make no mistake, CC just went by the Power Gauntlet. So I do want to point that out. That room was walked right by. CC will not get that tonight. ShadowWalker has all kinds of respect for what Crabcakes is able to do, but coming in very relaxed, very upbeat, and playing his game. So far, that's paying dividends as we have a carry high five. Just different carries.
969 from the legendary Excalibur takes out carry 2. Crabcakes dispatches of carry 1. ShadowWalker moves forward to the water floor of the Temple of Fiends Revisited. This is the first of 2 floors before the ultimate final floor and the ultimate final boss of Chaos, and a potential victory for ShadowWalker to force a Game 3. Crabcakes is back in Canaria at 1 hour and 21 minutes. She's headed towards the Temple of Fiends Revisited. But again, it is ShadowWalker's game to win at this point. As he closes in on Edge, it's everyone's nemesis, Kraken 2.
Yeah, it's make or break time. Any of these fiends could just decide, sorry, you're not going to win today. So we'll see what ShadowWalker does as far as strategy to make it through.
Crabcakes has entered the ultimate final dungeon. There's no sign of the defense sword. ShadowWalker thinks about it real quick. He's got Invis 2 shots, but not too many of them. He's going to attack twice with the Excalibur and the Vorpal. But Kraken gets initiative. He fires non-elemental swirl, and it does a huge damage to ShadowWalker. ShadowWalker fights back with the Excalibur for 417, and the Vorpal with 3 hits for 98. He's into 500 damage already into Kraken. 220% max stats for these enemies. ShadowWalker with the Assault. It's a nuke, a Heat Seeker for 181, and the Excalibur for 300. ShadowWalker fires Stun. It's ineffective, but Kraken obliterates Ted. Ted's gone. The Red Wizard's gone. Oh no, Dave is gone. He's down to the nuke caster Bill. It is Lightning 3. ShadowWalker. Rest and reset. ShadowWalker perishes. Crabcakes takes the lead.
That was why you like to have evasion. And we'll see that adjustment from ShadowWalker when he gets back to that fight. CC, however, picked up the white shirt. Will have Invis 2 casts. A couple of those can really add up and make a difference. And by the way, I don't disagree with what ShadowWalker did. He was getting the big damage from the swords. You gotta go for the jugular, don't you, Edge?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Will.
It's got to be what it is, Edge. I was going to ask the same thing. I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, I don't think he did anything wrong there. ShadowWalker, just to point out though, he is an absolutely fearless player, and that path of action doesn't surprise me. I don't think he did anything wrong. Just didn't turn out the right way this time.
Welcome to Final Fantasy Randomizer fans. If you have not seen us before, or if you're rejoining us, thank you. If you can hear these voices, he is the champion Edgeworth. To my right, to my left, the storyteller, Trenton GL. My name is Will Cleosis. They call me the Smoke Talker. I can't imagine why. I don't know why. I don't care why. I just love Final Fantasy. It did everything for me as a kid, and it's great to be here, and it's great to bring it to you, the fans, because we don't do this without you. We have action, we have adventure, we've got it all, the storytelling, everything that you want, the drama, the ups and the downs. This isn't a game to where you need to do anything frame perfect. This isn't any tricks, there's no glitches, we don't do any of that. This is what we do. It's straight up mano a mano. Left side of your screen is ShadowWalker trying to extend this match. He's a little bit behind the young lady to the right side of your screen who's trying to end this and win this title tonight. 1 hour, 24 minutes. ShadowWalker is starting to close in Edge. He's on the same floor as CC now.
I do want to point out one other thing we'd be remiss if we didn't mention. CC's armed with the Masamune. Against that Kraken, that is going to just unload for a lot more damage than what Excalibur and Vorpal were doing. CC is going to be able to put the damage into that Kraken a lot faster. On top of that evasion, it could be a really different experience than what ShadowWalker saw.
ShadowWalker about to take on Lich 2. Crabcakes just got through Lich 2. Buckle your seatbelts, fans, because this is starting to get close.
She's stopping to take the Zagamo fight, though, and that is allowing Shadow to close the gap a little bit more.
Another double Agama fight. It was unrunnable, actually. It looks like I think it's 2 to 4 Agamas in this formation. She's got to take the fight. ShadowWalker can run from the Grey Worms. If ShadowWalker gets away, which he does with Bill, ShadowWalker has passed Crabcakes now on the fire floor, and he's got knowledge and experience. He's got the Excalibur and the Vorpal, Crabcakes, and the Power Gauntlet. As Trenton talked about, Crabcakes has the Mazmoon. ShadowWalker about to pull Carry 2. Crabcakes has got to fight another unrunnable Agama fight. The unrunnable Agamas killed her, Trenton.
It's a lot of time consumed. I mentioned this earlier, that you can come into this Temple of Fiends on a different encounter cycle. It can really make a difference. This isn't RNG. It's going to be the same pattern based on the same step route from a power cycle.
Time Elemental Glare from the Agamas took out the Knight. Crabcakes had to reset. ShadowWalker takes out Carry 2. He's back in the driver's seat again.
Wow, that's unfortunate. I think that was 2, 3, and 256s in the same fight.
Now, Crabcakes should come in here on a different encounter cycle now to avoid at least that many Agamas, if not all of them.
We don't think her Knight had a ribbon, and somehow the Time Elemental Glare got through. Crabcakes has already made her way back to the Phantom, but we're back where we were just a little bit ago. ShadowWalker is back on the water floor for a meeting with Kraken 2. We talked about it right before this fight. Kraken 2 could be a complete nightmare, and he was ShadowWalker's nightmare. He perished ShadowWalker earlier. It is all about the evasion, potentially, Trenton. Is that what you would do?
You know, this is a tough call, but you've only got a limited number of Invis 2s, but you didn't really see a lot of magic damage. We saw Swirl come out, but we didn't see big spells come out. He puts the Red Mage first.
Gets off the Power Gauntlet, fires Brack with the Red Mage in front. Broken into pieces! Oh! Brack hits! Brack hits right off the bat! Broken into pieces! ShadowWalker takes out his nemesis, Kraken 2! This could win the match for him! He runs into 4 Purple Worms before Tiamat 2, but he made it look... Wow! This tells me that ShadowWalker is on a mission!
Have to explain this real fast. That was a very low percent chance. That was 3 in 256. That was not the high percent chance of about 20 that it is against Kraken 1. That was a very low percent chance, but ShadowWalker said it's my best chance. He took it. It worked, Edge.
Hey, 3 in 256 times, it works all the time. But of note, there's a oh no, first turn.
That means he didn't get the fast off.
Bill is gone. ShadowWalker's got 2 Power Gauntlets up. There's Bane from Tiamat, and that misses. Those are the 2 ribbons. There's Brack from ShadowWalker trying to relive his magic. It doesn't work this time. He's going to go back to 3 Power Gauntlets. Fire 3 from Tiamat 2. Crabcakes is 2 floors behind. Another Brack from ShadowWalker. Can he do it again? No, he cannot. It's ineffective, and he starts to the attack. Oh, no! Ted is gone! 354 from the Knight. Nuclear! Tiamat 2 is radioactive! 4 hits for 436. ShadowWalker is through, but he's only got 1 warrior left.
1 is all you need. He got that life. He can recover.
Goes back to the 3 light warriors. Now he's got to heal. There's a nuke from
Really
Carrie.
low. Really
Carrie
low on heal
nukes.
potions, though.
Carrie nukes Cece. She's down to 1 warrior, but she's got life. Wow. What's the heal potion scenario? It looks like we're through. We are through. ShadowWalker 1 hour 29 minutes. He has to win this game. If he wants to continue in the 2019 Spring Tournament, he told me how much he wants this. He equips the Vorpal. Crabcakes is 2 floors behind. This is now still ShadowWalker's game to win. We're nearing the 90-minute mark. ShadowWalker pulls Chaos 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 30 seconds. He's going to use Fast on the Vorpal. In Invis 2. There's Ice 2 Chaos after Initiative. Gets the Fast off into the Knight with the Power Gauntlet. I believe that's the Excalibur, actually. And the Invasion goes off. We are going on to round 2. This is to force a Game 3. ShadowWalker must win this. There's another power gauntlet. He's buffing up. ShadowWalker starts the attack. There's a Heat Seeker for 326 and another power gauntlet. Only Lightning 2 again from Chaos. Chaos is doing nothing so far. There's 3 more nuclears in the pool. Slow 2, Cure 4, as well as 3 nukes. A whole lot of other things too, as well as Tornado. There's a nuke again from ShadowWalker. Continues the assault. 226. Crack! That's Earth Elemental, and it misses. It's completely ineffective, and another power gauntlet. It's time to attack ShadowWalker. You want to win this, and you want to give Crabcakes her first loss. You gotta attack, and you gotta attack now. No one's beaten her the entire tournament, and you gotta do it, and you gotta do it now. First he fires Bracken, it's ineffective. More evasion. Once again, Crabcakes is undefeated, and she has never lost until this potential moment. Crabcakes is gonna fire another Bracken to the Ultimate Fiend to try to break him into pieces. But first, it's more evasion for ShadowWalker. Crabcakes has run into a problem on the seafloor. There's the attack from the Vorpal. 896. We've got a winner. 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 45 seconds. Crabcakes has been defeated. GG's. And congratulations to the Panther, ShadowWalker 227, as he forces a Game 3 tomorrow. Finally, someone takes out Crabcakes, and we're going to decide it all. Winner take all tomorrow, Game 3.
Shadow, as Will Cleosis attempts to recover his voice from that call, have to ask, estimated heart rate right now?
Real high. 150.
You had to be feeling the pressure after that Kraken 2, so real quick, what were your adjustments after seeing that Kraken 2 and taking the wipe?
Move the knight back in the slot. I didn't have enough Invis 2 cast to be able to afford casting Invis 2, so I was going to power bonk the knight, try and get the fast off, and throw out the Brack on the off chance that it landed. And wouldn't you know it, that 6% saved my life.
There were several differences between your setup. CC did a little bit more exploration, found the white shirt and the Masamune, but you still got to Kraken 2 before CC ever did, despite the wipe. CC just cleared that fight.
That Kraken 2 was not messing around. It was nasty.
Speaking of Kraken 2, Crabcakes has just taken out Kraken 2 as the chat exploded, congratulating ShadowWalker, finally taking out the undefeated Crabcakes. Congratulations to you, ShadowWalker. You have evened it at 1-1. Right now, Crabcakes is on the Echo of the Floating Castle, about to take on Tiamat 2. What we do here in Final Fantasy Randomizer is we show respect to our players that are on the screen, and we give them all the show as long as it is that they are playing. Crabcakes takes on Tiamat 2. ShadowWalker was able to brack Kraken and made it happen earlier as she starts to raise some evasion. Gets a fast off. Tiamat 2 attacks for 200 into Hans. She leaves her knight in the top slot with a white shirt. There's an attack from the Masmoon. 9 hits for 289. We move on to round 2. She's going to heal up and try to cure up Hans. There's nuclear. There's that nuclear radioactive from Tiamat 2. Zoe is down. The Black Wizard's down to 1 knee. She gets the cure off on Hans. Rudy's down to $173, and she attacks again with a nuke. The Heat Seeker makes it happen. It got resisted for only 103 damage, but it took out Tiamat 2.
So real quick before CC gets to Chaos, Shadow, you went with the 2-man strats a lot. You got those levels. How do you feel that worked out for you?
I felt like that really worked out for me. I kind of call it a 2.5-man. The intent was always to keep the Black Wizard up as long as possible. He just kept dying, but fortunately life was level 1, and I got him enough levels to get those fast charges and those couple nuke charges to make enough of a difference.
CC has switched from Masamune to Vorpal for Chaos.
The game changer. The crit machine. It's a fairly common strategy. Some people love it, some people don't like it, some people have to do it. Either way, we've got a champion player here potentially doing it. And that's what it is that she wants to do. As she rearranges her party, she puts Zoe down at the bottom. Crabcakes, Chaos. She opens up. She's going to try to fast Hans. It's going to be the Vorpal wielder, and she's going to raise some evasion. She's got dual Invis 2 caster. She gets 1 off after some initiative, and another 1 into her knight. There's the Ice 2 from Chaos. We didn't see a lot from her opponent. Our winner tonight, ShadowWalker. We saw, I think it was Fire 2, Ice 2, Lightning 2, that sort of stuff. We didn't see anything too terrible. We also saw Crack, the Earth Elemental skill Crack, which of course missed. Crabcakes only has 2 ribbons, whereas ShadowWalker had 3. Crabcakes tries to attack and he misses. More evasion. That tells Crabcakes exactly how well his accuracy is. There's the Vorpal for 3 hits, followed up by a Heatseeker for 372. It does not get resisted. And more evasion. I've got to think the offense is going to start to come for CC. 1 hour, 35 minutes and change. She attacks with the Vorpal. Oh, it's only 1 hit for 58 damage. Chaos Evasion is showing. More evasion. There's the Crack. It got the Black Wizard. We believe that was unribboned. There's a Lightning 3 for chip damage and 34. So the Black Wizard is gone, and there's more evasion. She is now evasion capped. It's all in the Knight and the Game Changer. There's the Lightning 2 from Chaos. Zoe is down to 1 knee. An attack from the Vorpal. 4 hits for 210. Crabcake's starting to dig into the Ultimate Fiend. Another attack from the Game Changer for 210. Quad X misses from Chaos. Lightning 3 from Rudy for 54. And Zoe just went ahead and ran. She doesn't have anything else. There's Radioactive from Chaos! Zoe is down. Crabcake starts to fight back. There's 91 from the Game Changer. Lightning 3 for 48, another round. Crabcakes is back on the ropes. This is a heavyweight battle. Lightning 2 from Chaos, but the Vorpal, 186 is good. GG's and congratulations to the Mastermind. 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 11 seconds.
It was a race between these two. They were 2 minutes apart for go mode. CC got it just a little bit faster than Shadow did. But Shadow, I think by that point, you'd actually already lit an orb that CC had not. So talk a little about your routing here.
Seeing those 2 loose items really early on was really, really nice. I remember I got the crown from Dwarven Treasury, and I don't remember what the other loose item I saw was. But when I saw both of those items really early on, that told me that I was basically only going to have to do incentive locations. And sure enough, that 3rd loose item was either the ship or an item that led to the ship. And didn't ever need to go find it. So I basically hit up all the incentives, and it was kind of off to the races. The early game was a little bit interesting. I think that was probably one of the more pivotal moments. I went in and I fought Astos, and he didn't have fewer than 300 HP, so I couldn't stun him. And the second I saw that, I decided I was going to go ahead and grind on the mummies and the images to get to level 10 on the fighter and just bash him down. And that paid out really well, except that the item wasn't progression. It was a ribbon, so that was really nice. And I think that made Marsh Cave quite a bit easier.
ShadowWalker.
Ribbons help a lot of things.
Yes.
Real quick, want to mention the next battle to decide it all between these two. It's going to be 8 o'clock tomorrow night on Speed Gaming. Fans, if you loved this, you are not going to want to miss that one. Go ahead, Will.
I ain't gonna miss it at all. ShadowWalker, Will Cleosis, congratulations. You finally took out Crabcakes.
Thank you, sir.
We talked last night. You told me something. You said, Will, I'm playing to win. That's what you did. You're the first player to take out Crabcakes. Now what?
Now we duke it out. It's I can only imagine Game 3 is going to be knockdown, drag-out fight, and hopefully it will be highly, highly entertaining for all of you. And either way, I'm extremely happy with how this tournament has gone for my performance. Only 2 people in the community have managed to take games off me this tournament. Crabcakes, of course, took one of the Swiss rounds, and she took one on game 1. And Falconic. Shoutouts to Falconic, great runner. The only other guy to take a run off me. So Crabcakes and I have had amazing runs, and I'm pretty happy to have finally been the stain on her record. Sorry, Crabcakes, but I was coming for you.
Crabcakes will not be interviewing with us tonight. She will join the chat, though. I believe she is on her way. I believe she's there. ShadowWalker, we didn't get a chance to touch on this because of all the action. It seems that you've caught your breath as well, and your heart rate's going down just a little bit. Would you mind? We've got a lot of fans out here watching right now. Do you want to tell the fans a little bit about how you got started and how you got into a Final Fantasy randomizer with the program that we do?
Yeah, so about a year ago, I was watching the last spring tournament, and it was a game between X-Ice Blue and Minochi85. And Falconic was in the Twitch chat, and you were in the Twitch chat, and you guys were like, hey, we're having a race watching party in Discord, and anybody that wants to, feel free to jump in and join. And I took you guys up on the offer, and I jumped in and started talking with you guys, and felt like it was a really cool community, and so I decided to really get serious about running. I'd played it casually a couple times, but I'd never raced it before. And the three of us, you, Falconic, and I, and Hangry Canuck, entered into a Florin Entrance Shuffle race, and it was at that moment that I knew that I really wanted to be into racing. And so I jumped on board with the new player initiative, and the duckling races were so much fun. It was nice to be able to race with people of an approximate skill level similar to mine. And you guys got me ramped up, and I was fighting with the pros in no time.
Ed, you got anything?
GG ShadowWalker. I just wanted to ask real quick. Do you think is there anything that you picked up from the Chaos Rush tournament that you think has helped you out in this tournament so far?
I think the big takeaway from the Chaos Rush that applies elsewhere is learning to be flexible with what resources that you have. Chaos Rush was kind of a whirlwind and a frenzy, and you were going super fast, and you never really knew what your gear was going to look like going into Topher. So sometimes you did funny things, like swinging a fasted, tempered up Thor hammer to kill Chaos. So it really gave me an appreciation for kind of having a better sense of what gear I could actually make work. And I think I've carried some of that execution and the routing and some of that flexibility over.
It will be tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. It will be June 16th, Sunday, 2019. Game 3, one shall stand and one will fall. We will decide a new champion. Edgeworth, you get to be champion for one more day before you get to hand over that title, my friend. Take it away.
Oh, just GG to both of the runners. Like I said before, Shadow, Crab Cakes, either one will be a well-deserved champion, and I can't wait to see how it goes. And it's just nice to see, two newer runners to the community just making big waves in this tournament. I'm hoping to see a lot more newer names, and hoping that you guys will continue in this community for a long time.
Want to mention, we're rolling a different forced and banned each seed. So, for these finals, for the final match, to decide it all, you have a forced thief and a banned white mage. Shadow, any final thoughts on the night?
Biggest thing is I want to just wish GG to Crab Cakes. It's been awesome racing you. You are one of the best in the community, and I'm really proud to be able to play you in the finals. And I am really excited to watch this one back, because I felt like this must have been a really good match to watch.
Edge, we certainly enjoyed it, didn't we?
Yeah, it was an amazing match, and I mean, we didn't expect anything less. So Shadow and Crab Cakes delivered, and I can't wait for Game 3.
The smooth talker, Will Cleosis, any final thoughts for you?
Thank you to Speed Gaming for bringing us the host, the Feasels, Mr. Broadstones, Carito's done so much for this entire tournament, Cyclone GU, you've been involved with all the commentary as well as setting us up. We can't thank you. We can't thank you enough, certainly. As well as behind the scenes, the Black Widow Brigade. Danny 3883 and what it is that you have done for tracking and to help us out in leadership for these broadcasts, along with the Baroness herself, Lyra SRL. Tyrannex was involved in this as well. He was a Final Four player. He couldn't make the finals, so he comes in and starts helping us out on the broadcast. We couldn't do it without Speed Gaming and our entire broadcast crew, from behind the scenes, from in front of the microphone, from behind the microphone, from the broadcast truck. I can't thank you enough. It's been an honor. It's a great to work with the champion Edgeworth, as well as yourself, Trenton. Take us home, my friend.
If you want to see more about Final Fantasy Randomizer, hope you're following the Speed Gaming family of networks as we continue to have events throughout the years. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, can't say it enough. Game 3 to decide it all between these two. Hope you will join us then. FinalFantasyRandomizer.com is the website for the randomizer itself. It is the best place to get started and get all the resources you could ask for and more. I promise. Money back guaranteed. And I thank each and every one of you who have spent this portion of your evening with us. I hope you have enjoyed it. I know that I have from my perspective. I am Trenton. Thank you to all of you on behalf of the Final Fantasy Randomizer community for joining us. And good night, everybody.